Hello.
No.
Hello.
Okay, we'll wait for a few more people. Maybe a small call today.
If we have time today, I would like to tell a bit about our integration work for integrating Bezu and Indy. So if you're interested in, and if we have time.
Definitely have time. I've even put a slot for you in the open forum, so that'll be great. All right, I think we can at least start the notices and things. All right, I'm going to just share my screen and look at the agendas. As usual, we have the antitrust policy. The meeting is being recorded, so if you don't want to be recorded, feel free to keep your video off or go on mute. And if you have questions, just don't speak over folks. I don't know if we need to use the raise hand feature. Just use your judgment there. Okay, we don't really have very much of a packed agenda today. Some general announcements. Actually, there is a Hyperledger workshop with some financial services folks on Friday. So there might, or Thursday and Friday of this week. So we might get some nice learnings out of that. I'm not sure quite yet what will be shared and distributed. I won't be able to attend as I'm on vacation, but some of our teammates will be there, and maybe they'll have some things that they can share in the following weeks. So that's exciting. Additionally, there's a release process change for the Docusaurus. I think everyone that has done a release has seen that. It's not really that crazy. It's a change to this page, and it's pretty straightforward. Also, release 23.10.1 is out, and it's a optional update for the most part, with some fixes and improvements targeted towards mainnet and the RPC stack. So go check that out if you're so inclined. We also have some new maintainers. Some of who are on the call, Nishal, and we have Matt Whitehead and George Trevin as well. So that's really exciting for those folks. So hopefully we will have more maintainers and continue the momentum into the future. But for now, that's great. And we had one discussion in Discord about making sure that you all have the right access to the repositories. Maybe Nishal, do you? Well, first of all, I believe your maintainer PR was approved. Is that the case?
Actually, it was approved by like two contributors, two maintainers, I guess. Not sure after that.
Okay, let's take a look because I'm curious. And if not, it's a call to go take a look. Where am I going? This will work. What is your GitHub?
Oh, it's Nick Nick S. New.
That's right. Maybe it's in a different repo, but anyway, I will try to find that and go vote on that one if you haven't. If someone can find it and place it in the chat, that would actually be great.
Yeah,
But when that goes through, let's circle back at some point and make sure you have the right permissions to the repository, because I know that Matt Whitehead had some issues with the repository permissioning. So we'll get that sorted out. All right, Mezian, I think we got the PR. So let's see. Okay, great. Yeah, so this was shared in the chat. If you're a maintainer and haven't had a chance to take a look at this, go take a look and reread and look through the PRs and, go through the normal process. If you have any questions, the wiki also has more information on the contribution process. So cool.
Sure, yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, Nick, that we took so long in reviewing that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else in the general announcements? I think if not, we can give Renata the floor, and then we'll come back to these work updates after her presentation. Okay, cool. Renata, take it away. Would you like to share the screen or not? If not, I can close.
Yep, I would like to share my screen. So honestly, I can spend a lot of hours telling about this, but I will try to be as short as possible to make this long story short. And let me firstly introduce myself. I'm from DSR. I was working for a lot of open source projects, and I was started my blockchain career with Hyperledger Indy. It is another Hyperledger project, and it was a start from my point of view. I start off SSI Technologies, self-sovereign identity. Let me tell a bit more about Indy. I believe you heard about it. So there are also some kind of complete project with 8 or 9 years history. And the main idea of this project to issue verifiable credentials and to keep the whole personal data on the holder side. So looking at the general flow here, there is some issue for example, governments or some university that issue a claim, some credential, verifiable credential to a holder, for example, Alice from this university. And after this, visiting some employer, Alice can make a proof of her verifiable credential and presents a claim and show it to verifier. There is some technology stack that allow doing this, and one of these decentralized identity ledger, blockchain ledger, where issuer keep their keys, specific keys, and schema of the documents, DID document of this issue. So basically that's it, but of course it's possible to keep more information, but with a general flow, that's it. So there are some different types of credentials with BBS Plus signature and others. But for Indy, original protocol was always based on CL signature with CL unencrypts. So why I wanted to tell you this? Because Indy from the start was using their own protocol that we wrote on Python, not the best language for cryptography, as far as you know. And it was RBFT protocol, consensus protocol, and there are some issues around it. And so speaking about issues and reasons of making this decision. So there are some problems in Indy Ledger. It is lack of maintenance because of difficult code base that's possible but really expensive to support. So it's with the same reasons impossible to implement new features. So again, possible but really expensive, long with a big effort. Complex code base, custom consensus protocol, and outdated standards. And in addition, RBFT, it is some kind of usual BFTP protocol. But X9 for our network with, additional 9 instances of one layer of application, and with slower performance, of course, with bigger throughput, smaller throughput, because of a lot of mostly useless messages between consensus messages between nodes. So it's good if you want to understand primary node, but it is not too good for business, and it's not too important to be sure. And it was a reason why we thought about changing the protocol. So the basic idea is that we need to support EDID documents, methods, DID for sovereign, and having said unencrypts, maybe add new methods, maybe add new signatures, but the main idea, we also need to use maintained, well-known ledger framework with better performance, with more amount of nodes. For Indy, for example, it's possible just 25 nodes for consensus. And we wanted to have open source blockchain framework with permission and have permissioned network without tokens. So we thought about Cosmos, for example, because we have a big experience in Cosmos projects. But we really wanted to use Besu because of a lot of upsides of using this. So firstly, Solidity, that's wide adoption and good well-known language, Ethereum with a big trust. But we of course had to use Bezel because we wanted to have permissioned mode, proof of authority consensus with different roles. And honestly, I really like the idea to make this small integration between our projects because it will be easier to maybe sometimes make some mix of our communities and help both projects have more activity, bigger amount of people in our communities, and better support for both projects. So finally, we decided to use Bezel. Right now we finished POC, a proof of concept for this approach. There is Indie Node, the main Indie repo. There are also Indie Plenum repo, Indie SDK, Indie VDR, LAC SDK, and Common SDK for different pools. But if we speak about Ledger, I think Indie Node is the main, because there are main transactions and business logic. So we sent draft pull request. So right now we want to update CI to combine it with a new approach. So we understand there are a lot of lines of having a new project. But in general, here we have Solidity smart contracts and Bezel approach using Bezel. And additional video for using this network, maybe having another wrappers with another languages in the future. We really appreciate for your work because it was smooth and easy to ramp up for using Bezel. So we have some possible ideas about questions, ideas, points for investigation about local net, about in general infrastructure support, how it's better to deploy the whole system, how it's better to make Docker files, so generating keys. I believe during this project we are preparing some scripts to make it easier. So maybe we can make some good contributions here if you're interested in them. So to make this process of setting up and configuring new Bezel Ledger easier. So and my general idea here that we will be like to see your interests. I believe it's a good point for our collaboration between Indie Node and between Bezel. So I hope that Bezel can be a good base for Indie Node to make maybe Bezel more popular and to have a strong consensus and trust consensus for Indie Ledger. So I believe that's it from my side. Just wanted to add maybe that right now we are preparing plan of migrating old ledger with the old consensus to the new one with Bezel. So there are a lot of work because a lot of companies and governments use the old one, but we hope it's possible. Right now we have a proof of concept how to make this migration to Bezel Ledger. So mostly that's it. I will be happy to hear your questions, to maybe see your interests and know your ideas, concerns about this. So thank you for your attention.
No, thank you. That was great. I've seen this proposal before. I'm glad that it's moved to the POC phase. Do you have anything that stuck out as like challenging to use with Besu? Or is it mostly the complexity on like the smart contract side and the permissioning side? Or is it anything like the client with the client that was challenging or confusing that we maybe should note as like feedback? Or maybe our documentation, anything like that?
Honestly, for us, we had a few confusing things. The first one was about verification key, because for Indy method, we wanted to use verification for ID 25519 signature, and understood that we can't implement it in smart contracts, and we can use only Ethereum one. So we saw that it's possible to do with some Besu plugins like a static validation, but we didn't investigate it deep enough. And right now we just use Ethereum signature and postponed this task with big amount of signatures. Because as far as understood, it's tricky moments for the whole Ethereum community having other signatures. And another moment that we had about sizes, because Besu helps, of course, but we still have big amount of data that we store and a lot of connected smart contracts. And it was a bit tricky for us. The communication, this limits for amount of data that we can store. But right now looks like this system works and everything is okay. But all the time we need to control this moment. So speaking about documentation, it was really good and cool that we used Besu tools for setting up a network, doing this first to generate some configuration. But we spent some time for these specific settings and specific scripts for making a setup for another configuration of network. So not for infrastructure as a code, but for a local setup to make this amount of validators, observers are configurable. But in general, we really like it, and now we can use the role model because of Besu. It's wonderful. Thank you.
No, that's great. Yeah, I'm curious to see what kind of performance issues you might have with the Ethereum 1 keys. Feel free to follow up with me and we can chat about that. Because I saw you were using ETH Signer. But yeah, we can. I'm just curious how it goes. So if you have any other feedback down the line, let me know on that specifically.
Okay, thank you a lot.
Does anyone else have any questions? Fab, you have a question?
Yes, always about performance. Like to know if there is any data you can share about the transaction per second, if it is something that is critical or is a low transaction network usually.
It's a good question, thank you. So we didn't have a lot of tests because just a proof of concept phase. But we think about this because it is challenging for different type of our DID document, but because in general it's possible to make big resources, and one of main issues for revocations in SSI world in DID, it is a really big resources, big files, and so on. It was absolutely impossible for old Indy. Here it's a bit easier, but we want to test these moments about this big DID documents and about big resources. I mean, with a big size. So when our load tests will be ready, we will be happy to share our results of our tests and maybe come to you with questions about performance.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, definitely keep us updated on any feedback you have going forward. Our Discord is a great place. So yeah, if there are questions, just let us know.
Thank you. I hope my team will visit contribution calls every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
share our stupid questions to you.
No, definitely. That'll be great. Looking forward.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, let me share my screen again. Only a few more items. We can keep this brief and give some time back, I think, because we're missing a lot of other contributors. But going forward, I'd like to try to think about Bonsai Everywhere planning with a group of contributors that is impacted the most. And impacted is the wrong word because we're not really getting rid of anything, but we are looking to bring private networks more off of forest mode and onto Bonsai mode. So we're, of course, working on the archive-friendly Bonsai mode features. Expect this to deliver sometime before the end of the year or the beginning of next year. So then we can have Bonsai that is compatible with all use cases within kind of a private network. So it wouldn't be too onerous to switch over. And then there's the real big question is BFT testing here. So we've done a little bit of testing on things like IBFT2 and QBFT, but I think we need to come up with a more robust set of tests that impacts real live networks. And I think that there would be more kind of testing, there would be more understanding and context from our private network partners as opposed to what we would run on our side. But I think that Consensus team can provide some ideas around BFT testing, but we need to collaborate a little more closely so that we can get everyone running Bonsai for the latest performance improvements and storage reduction and all the good qualities of it. But yeah, Kareem, I see you have a question.
Just a question regarding the transition. So if you want to deprecate Forest, do you want to implement a tool to migrate Forest database to a Bonsai database, or will we just ask a user to sync a new node with Bonsai and step by step removing Forest node?
Yeah, I think that there's multiple ways we can do that. Since that is way off, that deprecation timeline is very long and it's not, official or anything like that. But we're deciding how we want to clean up things in the code base. If we make Bonsai the default storage format for a number of reasons and use cases, I think that a migration would be useful, but also a sync would be useful. We just need to talk to the networks and see what they find the most valuable. But a one-time migration tool is probably not the worst thing in the world. But I think we have plenty of time to figure this out, like a year, to sort it out with different groups of people. But I think the biggest one again is testing, right? We want to make sure that this works the same way and predictably on BFT networks, and I think we need to do some more work to get there. Okay, I guess this is more of like a notice, like let's work on this together. So as we get closer to shipping archive-friendly Bonsai, we will again evaluate the defaults of the client. We discussed this before on the previous contributor call. What will the main defaults be? We'd like to switch to SnapSync and to Bonsai, and we'll have, we're building the SnapSync as a server functionality now, which means you can serve Snap data to other Besu nodes. So I think that once we have that in place and the archive-friendly modes, we can revisit the defaults discussion. But we will, again, I think it's a matter of testing and talking to folks in private networks today about what they're doing before we can kind of move forward in a better way. Anything else on this from folks on the call? Whoops. Cool. Prodding about the modular working group stuff. I think this will pick up steam after we ship the hard fork, because Justin Florentin was leading this work, but he's really busy with Cancun hard fork. So hopefully we can pick this back up in Q4, Q1 when we have more work done on this. That'll be great to share. Okay. I think the other thing we got approval for this Discord channel split. I'm gonna talk to Rye Jones about what this looks like. And when we can make the switch. So when this is turned on, there'll be a new oh. What's happening here? Hopefully I didn't lose all my notes. Looks like I didn't, that's fine. But yeah, this will flip on sometime soon. I think there is Besu and Besu Enterprise, yeah. Cool. Anything else that anyone would like to discuss? I think it's a short call today and we can go forward. Give some half an hour back. People can eat some lunch or dinner. Cool. Awesome. And thank you, Renata, for the presentation. And thank you everyone for joining. I will see you in 2 weeks' time or a month's time, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Lord. See you. Have a
Bye.
good day. Bye bye.